Welcome to the very first episode of the Clarity Sessions Men's Edition. I'm Amara, and in this series, we're going to have honest conversations about dating, attraction, emotional intelligence, relationships, attachment styles, and the things most men were never actually taught about women or themselves. Not from a manipulative perspective, not from a red pill perspective, and definitely not from the surface level advice that leaves men confused, emotionally reactive, and constantly overthinking. We're talking about real psychology in everyday language. Because most men are not struggling in dating because they're unattractive. They're struggling because nobody ever taught them how emotional connection actually works. And today, we're talking about one of the biggest misunderstandings between men and women. Why she pulls away when she actually likes you. And stay with me until the end. Because I'm going to give you one specific thing emotionally secure men do when a woman starts pulling away that instantly changes the emotional dynamic without manipulation, games, or chasing. Most men never learn this, but once you understand it, you stop sabotaging connections that actually had potential. Now here's the part most men completely miss. A woman pulling away does not automatically mean she lost attraction. Sometimes, it means the attraction became emotionally real. You start noticing the shift. She was texting fast, laughing, opening up emotionally, looking at you a little longer than usual, wanting your attention. Then suddenly, she gets quieter, slower to respond, a little harder to read, less emotionally available, and immediately your brain starts spiraling. What did I do wrong? Is she losing interest? Should I text her again? So you chase harder. You double text. You over-explain. You try to emotionally lock things down before she's ready. And ironically, that's usually the exact moment she starts feeling emotionally unsafe. Here's the truth most men never hear. Women don't only pull away because they're uninterested. Sometimes they pull away because they care more than they expected to. Because now there's emotional risk, vulnerability, attachment, the possibility of disappointment. And if she's been hurt before, emotionally guarded, or used to emotionally unavailable men, her nervous system may start trying to protect her before her logical mind even understands what's happening. That's what attachment psychology looks like in real life. Not complicated therapy language, just human behavior. When people start caring deeply, their fears often come up too. And this is where men accidentally sabotage things, because most men interpret emotional distance as rejection instead of emotional overwhelm. So instead of staying grounded, they panic. But emotionally secure men don't react to every emotional shift like it's an emergency. They understand emotional timing. They understand nervous systems. And they understand that attraction and fear often show up together. Today, I'm going to explain the real reasons women pull away when they like you, the attachment patterns happening underneath the surface, the mistakes men make that push women even further away, and what emotionally secure men do differently. And by the end of this video, you're probably going to look at your last relationship situation very differently. Before we get into the specific reasons, you need to understand something important. People don't date from logic alone. They date from patterns, emotional patterns, attachment patterns, and most people don't even realize they're doing it. Now, when people hear attachment styles, they sometimes think of complicated psychology terms. But honestly, attachment is just the way people respond to closeness, vulnerability, reassurance, emotional risk, and connection. Some people feel safe with intimacy. Some people crave it, but fear losing it. Some people want love deeply, but panic when things start becoming emotionally serious. And most people are a mixture depending on who they're dealing with. For example, a secure person usually communicates clearly. They don't panic easily. They don't disappear every time emotions become real. But anxious people often fear abandonment. So when they feel distance, they chase, they overthink, they seek reassurance. Avoidant people are different. They often want love. But when intimacy becomes emotionally real, they unconsciously create distance because closeness starts feeling overwhelming. And here's what men need to understand. A woman can genuinely like you and still pull away emotionally because her nervous system associates attachment with pain, disappointment, pressure, betrayal, or loss of control. That doesn't make her evil. It makes her human. Now, obviously, not every woman pulling away secretly likes you. Sometimes disinterest is just disinterest. But emotionally intelligent men learn how to tell the difference between emotional overwhelm and actual rejection. And one of the biggest signs is this. If her energy became intense before the pullback, the connection likely activated emotional vulnerability. That's important because most men think attraction creates certainty. But a lot of the time, attraction creates anxiety. First, especially for people with emotional wounds. Now, here's another thing men misunderstand. Women are constantly evaluating emotional safety, not just chemistry, not just confidence, not just attraction, emotional safety. Can I trust this man emotionally? Will he pressure me? Will he become controlling if I get attached? Will I lose myself in this relationship? Will he become emotionally unstable if I need space? These questions happen subconsciously, and this is why emotionally reactive men unintentionally push women away. Because when a woman creates a little emotional distance, anxious men often panic immediately. You seem different. Why are you acting weird? Are you losing interest? Now, instead of feeling emotionally safe, she feels emotionally managed. And that's where attraction starts turning into pressure. Secure masculine energy feels different. It creates emotional room. It stays grounded under uncertainty. And women feel the difference almost immediately. Reason number 1. She pulls away when she likes you. She's afraid of losing emotional control. A lot of women are emotionally self-protective without even realizing it, especially women who've been cheated on, abandoned, manipulated, emotionally neglected, or repeatedly disappointed in relationships. So when she starts genuinely liking you, it can feel emotionally destabilizing because now you matter. And once someone matters emotionally, they suddenly have the ability to hurt you. That's why some women pull away right after emotional closeness increases, not because attraction disappeared, because attachment increased. And this is where men usually panic. They interpret emotional caution as rejection, so they chase reassurance harder. But the more pressure she feels, the more distance she creates. What should you do instead? Stay emotionally grounded. Give her room without disappearing. Stay consistent without becoming emotionally demanding. That calm, masculine steadiness creates emotional safety. Reason number 2. She pulls away when she likes you. She's unconsciously testing emotional safety, not in a manipulative way. Most women don't even realize they're doing this consciously, but women pay attention to how men respond to uncertainty, because uncertainty reveals emotional maturity very quickly. For example, she takes longer to respond one day because she's stressed, overwhelmed, tired, or emotionally in her head. An anxious man spirals immediately. Now he's overtexting, posting indirect stories, acting cold suddenly, trying to regain emotional control. But secure men don't emotionally unravel over one shift in energy. And that emotional steadiness is deeply attractive to women. Because women are not just attracted to confidence, They're attracted to emotional stability, to nervous system safety, to the feeling that being emotionally close to you will feel peaceful, instead of emotionally chaotic. Now, let me be clear. You should absolutely have standards. You should not tolerate inconsistency forever. But secure men observe before reacting emotionally. They don't immediately personalize every fluctuation. And, ironically, that emotional self-control is incredibly attractive. What should you do instead? Mirror calmness. Stay warm. Stay grounded. Don't over-pursue. And don't emotionally withdraw to punish her either. That emotional maturity separates secure men from reactive men very quickly. Reason number 3. She pulls away when she likes you. The connection is moving too fast emotionally. This happens constantly, especially when chemistry is intense. Men often think emotional intensity automatically equals emotional readiness. It doesn't. A woman can feel very attracted to you and still need time for her emotions to catch up safely. Here's a common example. You've been talking for 2 weeks. The chemistry is strong, long phone calls, constant texting, deep conversations late at night. Now the man starts emotionally future projecting, talking exclusivity too early, wanting constant contact, making her the emotional center of his world almost immediately. And suddenly, she backs up because emotionally, it stopped feeling spacious and started feeling consuming. Women need emotional space to process attraction, especially emotionally intelligent women. They don't want to feel swallowed by someone else's emotional urgency. And this is where anxious attachment shows up in men. Anxious men often try to accelerate certainty because uncertainty makes them uncomfortable. But attraction grows best when there's emotional breathing room. What should you do instead? Slow down emotionally without becoming emotionally unavailable. Keep your own routines. Keep your own purpose. Keep your own emotional center. Don't make her responsible for your emotional stability. That balanced energy creates attraction because it communicates abundance instead of scarcity. And honestly, a man with emotional discipline is incredibly attractive to women. Reason number 4, she pulls away when she likes you. She doesn't fully trust her own judgment yet. A lot of women have ignored red flags before. A lot of women have been emotionally manipulated by charming men before. So even if she likes you, part of her may still be cautiously observing. Is this real? Is he consistent? Will his behavior change later? Is this another temporary emotional high? Women often watch patterns more than words, especially emotionally mature women. That means consistency matters more than intensity. A man who says all the right things but becomes emotionally reactive under stress creates distrust very quickly. And this is another mistake men make. They try to convince women emotionally instead of showing stability behaviorally. Secure attraction is built through repeated emotional experiences, calmness, consistency, integrity, emotional leadership, not pressure, not over-explaining, not trying to force emotional certainty too quickly. What should you do instead? Be consistent longer than most men are capable of being. That's it. Not performative, not fake perfection, just emotionally steady. Women relax emotionally around men whose behavior feels predictable in a healthy way. Because emotionally safe men feel emotionally safe, even during uncertainty. Reason number 5, she pulls away when she likes you. She senses emotional neediness underneath the attraction. Now listen carefully, because this one is important. Women are not turned off by emotions. They are turned off by emotional dependence. There's a difference. A secure man can express feelings without collapsing emotionally if things don't go perfectly. But emotionally needy energy feels different. It feels like pressure, like desperation, like your emotional stability depends on her validation. And women feel that very quickly. For example, a man starts obsessively monitoring response times, overanalyzing every interaction, seeking constant reassurance, trying to lock down commitment before emotional trust has fully formed. Now she feels emotionally responsible for his emotional state, and that pressure kills attraction fast. Because attraction needs emotional freedom to breathe. What should you do instead? Build a life that emotionally supports you outside of women. Purpose, friends, health, confidence, direction, peace. Women are attracted to men who already have emotional grounding before the relationship begins, not men hoping the relationship will finally make them feel emotionally whole. And this is where secure masculinity becomes powerful. Secure men enjoy women deeply, without emotionally clinging to them. That energy feels safe, it feels calm, and honestly, it feels masculine. Now let's talk about the biggest mistakes men make when a woman pulls away. Mistake number 1, chasing reassurance emotionally. The second men feel distance, they panic. Now every interaction becomes emotionally loaded. Are we okay? Did I do something wrong? Why are you acting different? That anxious energy creates pressure. Mistake number 2, becoming emotionally reactive. Now they withdraw emotionally to punish her, act cold, passive-aggressive, detached. That doesn't create attraction. It creates emotional instability. Mistake number 3, over-pursuing. Too much texting, too much explaining, too much emotional intensity too quickly. Men often think more effort fixes emotional distance, but sometimes less pressure creates more connection. And mistake number 4, abandoning themselves emotionally. The relationship becomes their emotional center immediately. Secure men don't do that. Secure men maintain emotional self-respect even while caring deeply. Reason number 5, she pulls away when she likes you. She senses emotional neediness underneath the attraction. Now listen carefully, because this one is important. Women are not turned off by emotions. They are turned off by emotional dependence. There's a difference. A secure man can express feelings without collapsing emotionally if things don't go perfectly. But emotionally needy energy feels different. It feels like pressure, like desperation, like your emotional stability depends on her validation. And women feel that very quickly. For example, a man starts obsessively monitoring response times, overanalyzing every interaction, seeking constant reassurance, trying to lock down commitment before emotional trust has fully formed. Now she feels emotionally responsible for his emotional state, and that pressure kills attraction fast. Because attraction needs emotional freedom to breathe. What should you do instead? Build a life that emotionally supports you outside of women. Purpose, friends, health, confidence, direction, peace. Women are attracted to men who already have emotional grounding before the relationship begins, not men hoping the relationship will finally make them feel emotionally whole. And this is where secure masculinity becomes powerful. Secure men enjoy women deeply, without emotionally clinging to them. That energy feels safe, it feels calm, and honestly, it feels masculine. Now let's talk about the biggest mistakes men make when a woman pulls away. Mistake number 1, chasing reassurance emotionally. The second men feel distance, they panic. Now every interaction becomes emotionally loaded. Are we okay? Did I do something wrong? Why are you acting different? That anxious energy creates pressure. Mistake number 2, becoming emotionally reactive. Now they withdraw emotionally to punish her, act cold, passive-aggressive, detached. That doesn't create attraction. It creates emotional instability. Mistake number 3, over-pursuing. Too much texting, too much explaining, too much emotional intensity too quickly. Men often think more effort fixes emotional distance, but sometimes less pressure creates more connection. And mistake number 4, abandoning themselves emotionally. The relationship becomes their emotional center immediately. Secure men don't do that. Secure men maintain emotional self-respect even while caring deeply. So how do you become more secure emotionally? First, regulate yourself before reacting. Not every emotional shift requires immediate action. Sometimes a woman is simply overwhelmed. Sometimes she's processing emotions. Sometimes she's stressed. And sometimes, yes, she's losing interest. But emotionally secure men don't panic while gathering information. Second, stop chasing certainty constantly. Healthy relationships require emotional patience. Attachment anxiety makes people want immediate reassurance, but emotional maturity allows space for uncertainty without spiraling emotionally. Third, strengthen your life outside dating. Purpose stabilizes men emotionally. Men who have goals, structure, friendships, discipline, and emotional grounding tend to show up more securely in relationships. Why? Because the relationship adds to their life. It doesn't become their life. Fourth, Communicate calmly instead of emotionally spiraling. Secure communication sounds different instead of, "Why are you acting weird?" A secure man says, "You seem a little distant lately. Everything okay?" Feel the difference. One feels emotionally reactive, the other feels emotionally grounded. And finally, choose women who communicate consistently over time, because secure love should not feel like constant emotional confusion. Now here's the important part I promised you at the beginning of this video. The thing emotionally secure men do when a woman pulls away. They do not immediately chase the distance emotionally. They stay grounded. They give space without disappearing. And they allow the emotional energy to settle before reacting impulsively. That one shift changes everything. Because when a man remains emotionally steady under uncertainty, he communicates confidence, safety, emotional strength, and self-respect simultaneously. That's secure masculine energy. And women feel it. Now, here's what I really want you to understand. A woman pulling away is not automatically assigned to chase harder, and it's not automatically assigned to give up either. It's information. And emotionally intelligent men learn how to respond to information instead of reacting from fear. Because the truth is, a lot of men sabotage potentially healthy connections because they interpret temporary emotional distance as permanent rejection. And sometimes the woman wasn't pulling away because she didn't like you. She was pulling away because the feelings became emotionally real. Now, obviously, if inconsistency becomes chronic, if communication disappears repeatedly, if your emotional needs are never respected, that's different. Secure men also know when to walk away, but emotionally healthy attraction requires emotional steadiness from both people. And the men who create the strongest long-term attraction are usually not the loudest men or the most aggressive men. They're the calmest men, the men who know how to stay emotionally grounded while building intimacy slowly and safely. If this video helped you understand women differently, I want you to subscribe and stay tuned for more. And in the next episode of Clarity Sessions Men's Edition, we're talking about a topic men constantly misunderstand: how women test men without realizing they're doing it. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one. And remember this: the goal is not to become emotionally cold. The goal is to become emotionally secure. There's a difference. I'll see you in the next session.